Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Hindu News Analysis. Well, it is 22nd July today, and in this video, we are going to discuss some important articles which are very much relevant for your preparation. We are going to discuss these articles in detail. We'll try to discuss the points which are relevant with your prelims preparation if there is, and we are going to discuss some important concepts in these articles which could be relevant with your mains preparation. So before we'll start our discussion, I would like to give you the brief introduction about this initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically from 2nd June 2025, we started an initiative here by the name Target IAS 2026. Under this initiative, every day we upload two videos, one in the morning session where we discuss a daily news analysis, which is this video. We do the current affairs here, daily current affairs, we discuss them. We try to break these articles down and we will try to see whether how they are relevant with your preparation with respect to your mains or prelims. After this video, in the evening session, we are going to upload another video, and there what we do, we discuss the static syllabus of yours. So every day we upload two videos, one in the morning session and another in the evening session. In the static part, here we started with Indian polity, which we had completed. From yesterday we are discussing from yesterday we are discussing the governance part of your syllabus. So we had started the governance part, and within 10 to 12 days we are going to complete it too. And here what we had promised you, that by the month of January 2026, what we are going to do, we will complete your full syllabus, whether it would be related to your prelims or mains. We will try to cover every subject in it. But here is an exception, and that exception is that we are not going to cover your optional classes here. So that is the only exception. And one more thing, as we are delivering these lectures, at the same time we are preparing your notes for each subject. Once we will complete the syllabus of subject, those notes would be available to you. But if you want to get the access to these notes, you will have to pay 200 rupees per subject. Trust me on that, these notes are very much beautifully written. They are very much different from your conventional books, and they are given with the example questions after every concept. So you will find it very much different and very much helpful, that you can trust on. So if you want to be the part of this journey, please do subscribe the channel. If you like it, please do share it with your friends too, so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. And please do communicate with us through the in the chat box. Do comment what do you feel about this initiative, or what else should we bring for you guys. Do tell us, give us your feedback, so that we can improve ourselves, and also we can provide you the best information which you require to clear the exam. Now, without any delay, let's start with our discussion here. As the first article is a kind of question which it asks to us, what is the legal status of vote in India, right to vote in India. Recently, if you would have watched my Indian polity classes, recently, few days back, we completed Indian polity, and the last chapter which we discussed there was the elections. And in elections, we discussed that there is something called the universal adult suffrage. We discussed that there is something called universal adult suffrage. What does this mean? It means that this right in which is this universal adult suffrage, which is given in the constitution. What does it mean? It says that every person who is above 18 has the right to vote. So there is a discussion now about this right to vote. According to some people, according to a majority of the people, what they say, this right to vote becomes the constitutional right here from the universal adult suffrage. But according to some critics, they say that from this we cannot infer that it is the constitutional right, that right to vote is a constitutional right. The majority status which we can give to right to vote is a statutory right. It is a statutory right. How? From the we have an act in which was given by the parliament, namely the Representations of People Act 1951, which gives us the right to vote according to some According to some critics, we say that right to vote is not a constitutional right. Why? Because they believe that it is not this universal adult to suffrage which gives us the right to vote. It says that who can vote, but it does not specify that it is the right to. It does not specify the right to vote. So according to some critics, they say that the constitution, the right to vote is not a constitutional right, but it is a statutory right, because it is the right to representations of People's Act 1951, which gives us the exact definition of the, which gives us the exact status of the vote, that is exact status of the right to vote. So eventually it becomes the statutory right, because it is given by the law of the parliament. Now, what should we accept as UPSC aspirants? What is supposed for us to accept? What we should accept, whether we should accept it as a constitutional right or the statutory right. For us it is very much clear. We have to follow that which is accepted by the UPSC, and and the UPSC says the right to vote is a constitutional right, so we have to accept that it is a constitutional right. But if you will ask me personally, do you believe that right to vote is a constitutional right, I will contradict with it. But what does the UPSC say? That we have to accept. So here we have to accept that right to vote is a constitutional right. So this is the nutshell, this is the crux of this article. What here now, let's put some light on the article too, because we had brought the picture. So let's see what was in it. Basically, this article here highlights the hierarchy of the rights. For example, at the base we have the natural rights, or we can say human rights. Then we have the statutory rights. Then we have the constitutional right. Then we have the fundamental rights. In fundamental rights we have the golden triangle, which stands at the top. So this is the hierarchy of the rights. So this any right which is given in the constitution becomes a constitutional right. But with respect to this, the adult suffrage, the universal adult suffrage is in the constitution. It is mentioned is in the constitution. The constitution provides us the universal adult suffrage. So according to it, it is the constitutional right. And we know that what are the fundamental rights. I suppose that you would have discussed that. You would have gone through either my lectures or wherever from you are discussing. If you are preparing for UPSC, this is the least which I can expect from you, that you should be very much aware of these rights, how they had evolved, how their rights are always there. But what constitution does, it recognizes those rights for you, and some become fundamental right, and some, for the fundamental rights you have certain safeguards. You can directly approach the Supreme Court. Then we have the constitutional rights. For them you cannot directly approach to the Supreme Court, but you can go via high courts. Then we have the other various rights, statutory rights we have, which are given by the law formed by the parliament, and similarly other rights which are there. So this is the crux of this article. I hope you had understood it. I hope you had understood the status of right to vote, which is widely accepted by UPSC, that it is the constitutional right. But there would be many who will disagree, and they might be true, but you have to accept what the UPSC says. So with this, I hope you had understood this article. Now let's move to the another slide and see what article we had brought here. Well, here the person Dunker submits his resignation to president. He is the vice president, and what he has done, he has submitted his resignation to the president. So his VP is resigning from the office. Today's class, today's discussion, today's newspaper was filled with the articles which would be related to Indian polity or governance. So it is something which we had already discussed, and if you would have followed my videos, it would be very much easy for you to understand these topics. I assume that you would have studied it anyways from any institute, but still, if you would have followed, because we had done a very great analysis, we had brought various questions too with respect to these topics. So what is this news? This the chairman of Rajya Sabha, or we can say the vice president, he has resigned. What is the reason for his resignation? He has highlighted that he has health concerns. Whether it is true or not so true, that is something different. There is a political debate going on, that some say that he was forced to resign. That is something different topic, but some say it is genuine that he has some health concerns. Now the question is, if the vice president resigns, what will happen to this post? Vice president, we know about that. We will not go that technical here, but let me give the little information about the vice president. Vice president, he, the constitution says there shall be the vice president of India. First thing, he will act as the ex officio chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, ex officio chairperson of Rajya Sabha, and his resignation, he has to submit his resignation to the president, whom once he will submit it and he will accept it. Now, vice president is not here. Here he is the second highest, and one more important fact about it: he is the second highest. He is the second highest office in our country, constitutional office in our country. So, if there is no vice president, president is here, no VP, he has to act as a chairperson too. Now, if VP is not here, so similarly we can assume that there is no chairperson. Now, what will happen to this post? Who will act as the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha? For that, there is something called the deputy chairperson, who will assume this office once the vice president is not there. But you would have heard about it. You would have learned it when you would have read the president. You would have heard. You would be very much aware of that. Once president resigns or he is removed, or maybe because of any incident he is not there, he has resigned, or he because of his death he is not there, who will act as the vice president? Then it would be the vice president who will act as the president. And if the vice president is also not also there, then it would be the Chief Justice of India who will act as the president. Now the question is, in the president's scenario, we have this very well defined, but what about the vice president? If vice president resigns, who will occupy his post as a vice president? What does the constitution say about that? What does the constitution say about that? The constitution does not say about it. The makers of the constitution did not care much about the post of the vice president, but they cared about the post of the chairperson. So they made it very much clear that if vice president is not there, then deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha will act as the chairperson. But about vice president, let it be vacant, and let Election Commission of India decide when they will conduct the election as soon as possible for the post of the vice president, and let them elect the new vice president. So in this way, this post, it remains vacant. It is not that Chief Justice of India will become the vice president. UPSC may try to confuse you like that, but you have to be very much clear with respect to that. So I guess this much is very much clear how how he is elected. Now, as he has resigned, and now there would be the new elections, new elections for the vice president. And in this, you have to know that it is done, there is an electoral college for that. What consists of the electoral college of the vice president? It is the all members of the parliament, including those who are nominated, including the nominated members which are in the Rajya Sabha. So the electoral college of the vice president, it consists of all members of the parliament, and voting would be done by the single transferable vote, in the proportionate system, single transferable vote, which we had already discussed. If you had not seen my classes, please, that's why I say that this initiative which we had started, these two videos, they complement each other. The morning video, it complements the evening video, and the notes which you are preparing, it complements everything which we discuss here. And eventually, when you read my notes, you go through these classes, it should be very much easy for you to clear the exam. It is a long process. It takes a year for that. But if you will be consistent, and you will motivate me by watching my videos or by asking for the notes, it will motivate me to work more hard on it. It is something different. So please do watch it. Do watch my daily lectures. Do watch these videos, so that you will improve the knowledge and you can connect these things. We were discussing about the electoral college. It consists of all the members of the parliament, including the nominated members. And his removal, if they have to remove the Rajya Sabha, if they have to remove the vice president, then his removal will be initiated in the Rajya Sabha. And if it is passed by the effective majority, then this will go to Lok Sabha, where it has to pass by the simple majority. Then he will be assumed that he has been removed, and during this phase, 14 days notice period has to be given to him, so that he can defend himself. So this is some information about the post of the vice president, because as he has resigned, it becomes eventually important for us to discuss the vice president and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. These two important things are very much important. Their role, how they assume their role, what is the criteria for, what is the eligibility criteria, to whom they prescribe their oath to. So these things are very much important then. And this you can, if you want to know much about the vice president, please consult my earlier videos, my Indian polity lectures, or wait for my notes. Once they will be there, I would cover everything, as I had promised you that every topic would be discussed in my notes, and they would be my notes would be very much comprehensive, with every, after every question, after every topic there would be the questions. So with this we had completed this topic too, the important points which were relevant from this topic. I hope you had understood it. Now let's move to the third article here. Let's see what it is about. The article here, it is very informative in a way. It is something which is always there, but we don't realize it in that way, because it is the human tendency that we don't estimate such thing. Scientists, they do estimate when they are building their dams, but it is not something which was which was well scientifically established. But now the studies are coming, and as things are becoming more clear to us, and finally we had reached to the point where we can give these theories which are in a way, which are the reality now. So let's see what does this article say. It says water energy demand spotlights risk of human induced earthquakes. Human induced earthquakes. So this concept of human induced earthquakes, it was very much laughed upon. People, whenever people try to highlight this issue, the people would say that it is something nonsense. How can humans induce the earthquake? Earthquake was often, earthquake is often associated with the tectonic activities, the fault lines, the movement there, and then the volcanoes which erupt, and eventually, these tectonic activities which lead to volcanoes, which lead to earthquake. So it was often associated with the natural activities. But lately, what the researchers have found out, that whenever there is any, big water dam, you will see any big water dam, there is continuous extraction of water from the ground, there is there is continuous loading and unloading of water in particular area. What the researchers had found, that they had found that in such scenarios, in these cases, the place where these dams are located, the places where this water transfer is going on, the place where this loading and unloading is going on, and if these places are near the fault lines, then what they are doing, they are inducing the earthquake. They are speeding up the earthquake. They become the inducers of the earthquake. So it is not only these factors which lead to earthquake, it is in fact it is the natural factor, which is the fault line, which is the tectonic activities. But if these things, if these human activities are happening at a place and it is near the fault line, then what it does, it speeds up those quakes, it speeds up those earthquakes. So this is the crux of this article, what it actually talks about, and it gives some examples. For example, we have the Koihar region in Maharashtra, where there was a Kohinoor Dam, and there earthquake was seen. Then similarly in the Delhi NCR region, where exploitation of groundwater was very huge, and it was found that earthquake was seen before 2014, but after 2014, when rains were very much regular, so things started to reshape. Then similarly, this article also highlights that, for example, the earthquake, it is something which, if studied very well, you can reach to the point that human activities, for example, we are emitting global greenhouse gases, we are emitting we are warming the globe. What it will lead to, the if we will analyze it, it would lead to the melting of the glaciers. When the melting of glaciers, it will lead to the more waters, and it will lead to what? and eventually there would be more load on the ground, and what it will lead to, there would be the, there it can lead to the refueling, or it can lead to the refueling, and eventually it may lead to earthquakes too. So this is the impact of the global warming, the human induced earthquake. It is not only through these dams we can induce the earthquake, it is our activities which had led to this, the way we are burning the fuels, the way we are behaving. So all this when added up can lead to these earthquakes according to the article. So to overcome these issues, we have to study the projects very well. We have to minimize it is we have to minimize our what we are emitting. We have to analyze it properly. It is not only something the future generations will get impacted by it, it is something which we are feeling right now. So it is the prior time for everybody to understand, to play their role, and to make this world more peaceful and healthier for the coming generations as well as for us. So this is how there are some important points which you can use in the mains exam. Maybe question would be asked how human activities, how humans can induce earthquakes. So you can give the high example of the of these dams, of groundwater depletion, of the refueling. For example, there is an activity called fracking, which is often used by the oil industries for in fracking. What they do, they inject liquid in the crust of earth, and it eventually leads to the small tremors of earthquake. So there are various ways in which humans contribute to it, in this way, in which humans contribute to this, and eventually it is the humans which are going to suffer from it. So with this, I hope you had understood this article as well. Now let's move to the another article. This article is also very much important for your preparation. It is about the ideas on trial critical thinking in retreat. Basically this article, it criticizes the approach of the present governments in the democratic world. What was democracy about? It was about the democracy, if we will see, it is about the free speech and expression. It is about freedom from constraints. Democracy is about the freedom from constraints. It is of the people. The government, as the basic definition of the democracy, is of the people, by the people, for the people. And the essential feature of the democracy is that there would be the free speech and expression. But lately what is happening, that as the world order is changing, the nature, these democratic countries are changing into the authoritarian regimes. And it is very much evident if we look at the USA, which is calling themselves as the world's oldest democracy. What they are doing presently, what they are doing, we had seen in the colleges like Harvard University or other colleges. What they are doing there are students who are raising slogans for pro-Palestine. There are teachers who are raising slogans for Palestine. Whatever, whether they would be good in doing that or they are wrong in doing that, whatever their assessment is. But the reality is that everybody should have right to express themselves. If they believe anything is wrong, they should say that you are doing wrong. It is the governments which have to tell them how they are doing wrong. There should be the accountability from the government. So they have to raise the questions, and they are raising the questions, they are raising their slogans. Let them do that, let them protest that. But recently there are changes, that there is the Trump administration, what they are doing, they are putting crackdown on these institutes, on these academicians, on these students. There are many foreign students who are studying in USA. Their visas are revoked, and eventually it becomes very much hard for them to stay in the country. And even if they are allowed to stay in the country, they have to keep mum for the rest of their life in that particular country. So what USA stood for, it stood for the extreme freedom of speech and expression. But now what is happening, that their approach is changing. They are becoming more authoritarian. They are trying to they are trying to enforce the consensus from the people. What they are trying to enforce the consent from the people. And eventually what it does, if you will try to enforce the consent from the people, it will eventually lead to the destruction of the democracy in that particular country. Similarly, we had seen cases of such incidents in India too. we had seen during Operation Sindoor, there were few analysts, a teacher from particular college, I don't know, from Ashoka College, I guess. What he did, he criticized the Operation Sindoor, and there were, some criminal charges were charged against him. So this approach, it is discussed. It is actually this approach. It is being discussed in this article that if the countries which are so-called democratic, which believe in the democratic principles, if they try to opt for such things, then eventually what it will lead to, it will lead to the breakdown of the democracy, and the country would shift into the authoritarian regimes. And if you are going to enforce the consent on the people, then eventually the democracy is nowhere there. And also, you cannot enforce this consent from the people, and you cannot force them, to think in a way the government wants them to think. You cannot force the propaganda, you cannot force your propaganda on them. Let them evolve by themselves, let them question you. Once they will question you, they will get the answer, this trust will develop, and eventually the democratic system will develop. So this is the article, this is the article in nutshell what it says. And it also talks about the something called doctrine of chilling effect. What is this doctrine of chilling effect? For example, if you are taking the examples, for example, in USA they would attack certain individuals who are pro-activists for Palestine, and they will put them in the jail. What it will do, it will lead to the chilling effects to the other people, that they will try to stay mum, they will not try to speak about it, because they know that once they will speak about it, eventually they are going to get into the jail, they are going to get into the problem. So what they will do, they will try to stop, they will try to stay calm with respect to that. It will send a chilling doctrine, it will send a chilling effect to the people, and people, rather than confessing their feelings, rather than protesting for their feelings, what they will do, they will try to stay mum, and it will further give rise to the authoritarian regime. So this is what this article actually here is talking about. I hope you had understood it. Now with this, let's move to the another slide and see what article we had brought here. Well, this article actually is talking about the PM internship scheme, which was brought in the 2024-25 budget. Under this, it is the target of the government of India to give internship to 1 crore youth, and so make them available to give internship to these 1 crore youth, so that they will be eligible for the jobs. And under this, the government will give incentives to the companies, so that these companies will hire, give these internship to these youth. Under this internship program, 4,500 would be paid by the government, and 500 would be paid by the industry in which they are working. So this was introduced in 2024-25 budget. What is the update with respect to it? The update is that around 6% of PM internships officers received joined work. What it is, approximately in this year's, in this year's, in from last 1 year, approximately 1.5 lakh of hours were given, 1.53 lakh offers were given, and out of these 1.53 offers for the internship, 50,000 students had accepted the offers, and out of these 50,000 students, 6%, 6% of PM internship offers offer recipients job joined work. These 6% had joined the work out of these 50% who had accepted the offer from the PM internship scheme. So this scheme is for all the bachelors, it has the age limit between 21 to 24 years. So these are some important facts which you need to know. With more about it, let's see, we had brought a question about it, and let's see that, let's try to understand more facts through the question here. Here the question says, with reference to the Prime Minister's internship scheme, consider the following statements. The scheme aims to provide internship opportunities primarily to graduates from premier institutes like IITMs, and this is totally incorrect. It offers, provides internship to everyone who is in the age group of 21 to 24 years. So this statement is incorrect. Second statement, it is implemented by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and offers a monthly stipend for the duration of the internship. That is true. The internship duration under the scheme is typically 12 months, and it includes a one-time grant for incidental expenses in addition to the monthly stipend, and that is 6,000. That is also true. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and 3. Sorry, I had not brought the option here, 2 and 3 only. So correct option would be option B. With this, let's move to the last article of today's discussion. Let's see what it is about. Well, here this article is basically talking about the deep sea mining. Deep sea mining, as there is no consensus between the countries what to adopt with respect to this. So about this deep sea mining, what usually it is that beyond your exclusive economic zone, mostly beyond your exclusive economic zone, there the waters which are, they are the international waters. Under these international waters, they belong to the common good of the all. They belong to the common good of the all, and they come under the it is controlled. This is controlled by whom? It is controlled by the ISA, which is International Seabed Authority. And if you want to do deep mining here, for the deep mining you have to go approximately 2 to 4 kilometers down and collect the minerals from there. Mostly the polymetallic nodules are collected. In the polymetallic nodules, it is mostly the cobalt and nickel, which are very much essential, and many countries are in race of this deep mining, especially China, USA, and India is also playing its part. India also wants to get licenses for the deep mining from the ISA, from the International Seabed Authority. But recently, there are various concerns with respect to it. There are some countries like Chile, which is highlighting that if we will go for deep mining, it will eventually violate the marine ecosystem there. And what Chile is proposing, that we should not implement this deep mining till we know till we totally understand the marine ecosystem there and how it is going to impact that. Till then we should not totally go for this deep mining. But there are various countries which there is no proper consensus with respect that there was a conference in the Kingston, Jamaica, where it was held, and there is no consensus with respect to it. So with this, the major reason is also that USA, as it is not this ISA, the International Seabed Authority, it comes, it is given authority by the UN clause. It is given authority by the UN clause, and United States of America, it has not been part of the UN clause. And what USA says that we don't give a damn about what the world, about the international order. They are going to do whatever they want to do, and USA says that we will give the licenses to their private companies so that they will do this deep water mining. And eventually there is the lack of consensus with respect to this. So here, what do you need to know? You need to know about the International Seabed Authority and also about the deep sea mining. Let's see what type of question can be asked from this article. Here the question says, with reference to deep sea mining, consider the following statements. First, polymetallic nodules, a key target for deep sea mining, are primarily found in the shallow coastal waters within national jurisdiction. Totally incorrect. It is in deep coastal waters, in the international, in the international waters. So first statement is totally incorrect. Second, the International Seabed Authority is the autonomous international organization established under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas to regulate mineral-related activities in the international seabed area. 100% correct. Third, proponents argue that deep sea mining can significantly contribute to meeting the global demands for critical mineral essential for green technologies, while posing no significant environmental risks compared to terrestrial mining. This is totally incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option B. So with this, we had completed our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. And please do join my another video. If you are watching this, please do join my next video, which I am going to upload in the evening session, which is very much related to your static syllabus. As I had already given you the full introduction. Please take this opportunity, and take full पूरा फायदा इस अपॉर्चुनिटी का उठा और ज्वाइन द चैनल. थैंक यू फॉर स्टेइंग विद मी. थैंक यू वेरी मच एंड हैव अ नाइस डे.